No worries, no rush, no rush.
What I'm eating is crap, basically, but I think the words I would use would be junkie fodder. I eat shit, basically, all day long. Pasties, pies, it's all crap, basically.
My name's Clare Pettinger. I'm a public health dietitian working in Plymouth, and I'm a community food activist. This film is about some of the many complexities around food poverty, and I hope it will show you some insight into the lived experience for those people living on the margins of society. In Plymouth, there are more people in debt than the national average. According to Citizens' Advice in Plymouth, the most common financial difficulties are caused by fuel, water and rent arrears, council tax arrears and debt on credit and debit cards. This all means that money left for buying food is limited. Food insecurity is reported to be the highest in Plymouth amongst individuals claiming universal credit and other benefits. The Plymouth Soup Run is the first port of call for many individuals in crisis. In the first half of this year, they have seen a 40% increase in people accessing their meals.
We're working through the Soup Run with people who've got very complex lives. They've got other things going on in their lives apart from being hungry, and they're experiencing poverty in other ways. It's not just food poverty, they're poverty of all sorts of resources and relationships.
I'm at the Soup Run today because I'm on a very low wage. My husband and myself were on working tax credits, but we receive £90 a week. It's just difficult, what with the rent top up, to pay for the electric, water. We don't have enough to buy enough food for the week, so we come to the Soup Run, which is like a little lifeline for us. That's a Cornish pasty. That looks like, I think that's a croissant, which is lovely. I think that's chicken. Well, this could last, I would say, 2 days.
Okay.
I would say tonight and tomorrow, all the way up until the next soup run, you know.
I think balancing money has become more difficult for people, and obviously there are people who are working but on 0-hour contracts, so that their money is very variable and they don't know when they're going to always get money. And then if you've got a few bills to pay as well, it's just a balancing act for people really, and often food isn't the thing that becomes the most important to them, because if they've got a roof over their head and they've been homeless previously, they really want to try hard to keep that roof over their head.
Well, I was a working man, I was doing all right last year, and obviously I come off work and I couldn't afford food anymore, and I was eating a lot of junk and I just wasn't getting any better, and it was like I was in this horrible loop of just it's madness. And I noticed that when I could walk in a shop and a pack of grapes would cost me £3, but a Monster Munch and a pack of Skittles would cost me £1. And all this healthy stuff, which we need it, is going up through the roof and we can't afford it. Our wages would change, but then things will go up again. So really, it's just, we're always losing out, I feel.
Don't get me wrong, the Chicana, who do the meals daily for £1, are fantastic. Don't get me wrong, that's brilliant. And the soup runs all these nights. I don't know how half of us would live without it. I really don't. But not all of us have got £1 to pay every day for a meal at the Chicana. Do you know what I mean? We ain't got £1 to pay every day.
Those individuals who access emergency food aid are more likely to suffer from poor health and nutritional deficiencies. This is because they often have complex and chaotic lives whereby eating is not their priority. But we also know that a lot of the food donations reaching emergency food providers are processed rather than fresh, which means often the quality is compromised.
The guys in today are basically rough sleepers, so they're not just food poverty, they're poverty full stop. It's a salvage catering operation. We get a lot of routine donations. In particular, we get pasties from the pasty house daily.
You never know what you'll get. So often I pick up from the Co-op and Tesco's first thing on a Sunday morning, but I don't like to wait to see what's in there just to make my soup, you know, counting on there'll be enough vegetables there. So we often shop Saturday as well.
We're conscious that the food provided by the soup run may be the only food that our clients regularly access, and so we recognise a need to make it as balanced an offer as possible, and variety. Give people a little bit of choice. In lives where they don't have many choices, it's lovely on a Sunday night at the soup kitchen to be able to offer a range of snacks and a choice of soups and so on.
So the soup run really works alongside places like Shekinah, where people can come and get a lunchtime meal, which would be a more balanced meal as you and I would see it. So we work in conjunction with other people in the city, really.
I'm currently homeless at the moment, so I'm going to the soup run a lot and eating here. Even though we are on poverty and we are struggling, we still need to eat properly. I like to try and make like proper meals, like lasagnas and things like that. But I'm living in a tent at the moment. When you're using the food bank and stuff constantly, you don't really get a chance to, so you're mostly eating pasties and sandwiches and stuff. It's nice, and I appreciate that there's donations and everything. The need to make sure there's enough for everybody. No, it's kind of just like, oh, we'll do the food banks to make people happy that we're helping.
For local organisations who are working tirelessly to meet this short-term hunger need, there is a demand for a consistent and safe supply of healthy food items, so that this then moves away from being an individual issue to becoming a wider food system issue.
So as a food charity, we've really found it difficult to access good quality surplus fresh food. So we've looked at a number of the charities, we've tried to work with a number of supermarkets, but the food that they have surplus is often commonly known as waste food rather than surplus food. And actually for people in crisis, they need food that's going to last as long as possible. So we can't give out food that perhaps is at the end of its life or maybe only has a day to be used. So we've really struggled to work with supermarkets to access good, healthy, fresh food that we can give out unless we buy it at full price. So that's something we're really investigating, because there is a lot of food that stays in the system until the last minute when it becomes the waste food. And actually if it was accessed earlier, whilst it's still surplus perhaps, that would make a huge difference to the quality of food we could give out, and also the cost as a charity of not having to buy fresher food.
I'll be feeding around 20 a day, 20 people a day, and then I'll be down here cooking till then. And the meals range from soups to cottage pies. I don't know, we decided the night before, like me and Migs decided last night, because we had a bit of beef there, we'd make a beef stew today. So that's what we're going to make today. We make what we got, and that because it's all we got.
Vulnerable people have a right to fair access to healthy, affordable and good quality food, but currently the food system is failing them. This has massive health and well-being implications, both for physical health, but more importantly, mental well-being.
Like, there is stories for being homeless. There is, reasons we're on benefits. Like, I have really bad mental health, and due to things that have happened to me in the past, I'm not able to cope in the real world and work like everyone else. And because we're on benefits, people seem to think, oh, lazy. I would love to be able to work, but with my mental health and everything, it's impossible right now.
Because you've got no nutrition, you don't want to get up in the morning, you don't want to move, you don't want to you've got to get yourself motivated to get up. I mean, most of us are on scripts and that as well. We've got to get up, we've got to walk a little way, get to the chemist to get our scripts and that. And if you're that unwell to get there, you know, it's hard work when you're not getting that nutrition to give you that boost.
They take a lot of pride in it, and I think they see that and they can taste it. And it's just, I know sometimes it can be like a stew or a veg. Personally, I love stews and veggies and that, but I try to make it the best I can.
To me, where it all starts, it's where my problems started. Not eating and not sleeping properly. Now I'm here and they get, obviously there's things from the food bank and I cook, I get my 5 a day I get to eat my vegetables now, and I feel a lot better. Like, a lot of my illness is to do with my lifestyle. If I eat a lot of crap, I tend to feel like crap. If I eat good food, I feel good.
The guys that do the cooking here, normally they do a really good job, you know, considering what they get. I think people need more and a bit more education on food. Nothing improved my mood more than eating well and sleeping a bit better. Those are the two main things that I've been trying to focus on for myself, were eating better and sleeping better, and it made much more difference than any antidepressant, you know, that I've ever had. So.
There is absolutely no doubt that eating better food leads to people feeling better mentally and physically. So we need to create solutions that optimise support for vulnerable individuals and their communities to improve their access to healthy foods. Combating hunger requires multiple strategies, including education, skills and knowledge exchange.
If you're hungry, it's hard to be well in other ways, and so we recognise that combating hunger is one way that we can move people through a progression to an overall healthier life, but they do need other support. Mental health is a very evident issue for many of our clients, and it's one of the components of complex needs that's recognised across the city and across the nation, and there isn't sufficient support for mental health services, but we are able to be a listening ear to people and to try and, where we can, to connect them with services.
I was very embarrassed when one of my children went to school and they were learning about where vegetables and things come from, and the teacher asked, where does the carrots come from? And my daughter did say from Tesco's, and you know, she was bluntly getting herself upset because she was arguing with the teacher. My mum gets them from Tesco's, she didn't get them from the ground. And then that's when I thought, you know what? I needed to change my whole lifestyle. The knowledge I was lacking, which then had a knock-on effect for my children, you know, that I then went and learned a bit more about, well, you know what, you don't need tin carrots. The fresh is so much better and affordable, lasts longer and things like this that, yeah, really did help me, and it has got a knock-on effect because all my older children now use fresh veg.
I know what I need to do to sustain my future with my kids, to grow my own. I think everyone should grow their own, but people weren't taught stuff like this. We're all just taught this quick option, this go chuck a microwave meal in, go do this, go do that.
There isn't a set group of people now who need food support. We're finding that all areas of Plymouth and all members of society are at risk of food insecurity. Sometimes we provide food to people who are sofa surfing or in temporary accommodation with only a kettle. Actually, that's restricting what they can cook and prepare as opposed to their own ability. So there's definitely a place for education and helping people to cook on a budget and to work around that. But also, it's the assumption sometimes that they're not able to that I think can distort the picture.
Long term, people are homeless because they've got nowhere to live. Mostly they've got nowhere to live because they haven't got any money. I mean, if you haven't got a shower, you haven't got any breakfast, you've got no clean clothes, you know, you can't afford to have your hair cut, it's going to be difficult to get a job, even if you're clean and sober and actually want one. So people need somewhere stable to live before they can really have a hope of going anywhere else.
There is indeed a systemic problem around sort of chronic food poverty.
But the rest of us that are outside society are just getting swept under the carpet, and it's just like they just want to pretend we don't exist, and as long as they can get away with it, they will.
We're all the same, we're all equal, and there is a crisis, and we need to sort it out. That's just it. And I don't think this food bank and the way it's going, I don't think it's going to get any better, I think it's going to get worse.
Food insecurity is a stark reality for many vulnerable people in Plymouth. The issues are complex and often politically driven. Without including those marginal voices, we can't possibly create a collective solution to this critical issue.